Welcome to Log Finance. Today, we're diving into a critical issue that has implications for economies worldwide: the dangers of big government and unchecked public spending. Sri Lanka, once a shining example of free market innovation in South Asia, is now a cautionary tale of how increasing government control, red tape, and populist policies can derail economic progress. Let's set the stage. Back in 1977, Sri Lanka embraced free market reforms that made it a pioneer of economic liberalization in the region. It was the first South Asian country to open its economy, inspired by leaders who prioritized private sector growth and limited government intervention. Fast forward to today, Sri Lanka is undergoing a dramatic shift in the opposite direction, led by its new president, Anura Kumara Dissanayake, and his Marxist rooted coalition. So, what's the problem? At first glance, promises to tackle corruption and support social welfare sound appealing. But history and economics tell us that bigger government often comes with significant drawbacks that Sri Lanka is already beginning to experience. Here's why this matters: inefficiency and red tape. Big governments thrive on bureaucracy. While oversight is necessary, excessive regulations can create bottlenecks, slowing down innovation and discouraging private sector participation. For Sri Lanka, protectionist policies and increased state control over key industries are likely to stifle productivity and hurt long term growth. Populism without rationality. When governments focus on short term popularity instead of rational policies, they risk economic stability. President Disanayake's push for increased social spending may win public approval temporarily, but without a sustainable growth strategy, these measures will only deepen the country's fiscal challenges. Rising debt to GDP ratio. Sri Lanka is already reeling from its first ever debt default in 2022. Increasing public spending while relying on borrowed funds will only exacerbate the debt to GDP ratio, making the economy more vulnerable to external shocks. The International Monetary Fund's bailout provides a lifeline, but failing to adhere to its benchmarks could jeopardize the country's recovery. Undermining democracy. Democracy thrives on accountability, but unchecked government expansion often leads to consolidation of power. As seen in Sri Lanka, the ability to amend the constitution and dominate parliament with a super majority raises concerns about diminishing checks and balances. Without proper oversight, democracy risks falling into the trap of populism. Let's consider the broader implications. Governments that prioritize short term gains over structural reforms often leave their countries worse off. Look at Venezuela, where excessive state control and populist policies devastated one of the world's largest oil exporting economies. Sri Lanka, though not yet in such dire straits, faces similar risks if it doesn't address these fundamental issues. What can we learn from this? For starters, limiting government size and focusing on efficiency are crucial for sustainable development. A balance must be struck between social spending and fostering a thriving private sector. This balance not only drives economic growth, but also ensures that the public sector doesn't become a burden on taxpayers. Host. In conclusion, Sri Lanka's leap to the left is a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked government expansion. Increasing public spending, imposing red tape, and ignoring long term consequences might win elections, but It often comes at the cost of economic stability and individual freedom. As voters, policymakers, and business leaders, we must advocate for a rational and balanced approach to governance, one that ensures efficiency, controls debt, and fosters a competitive economy. Thank you for tuning in to Log Finance. If you found this episode insightful, don't forget to subscribe and share it with others. Together, let's stay informed and work towards solutions that prioritize sustainable growth over populist promises. Until next time, stay curious and engaged.